Hi.
What? Hello, everybody.
I'm surprised to see you here.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's
It
almost
is.
like we planned this.
Well, I mean, it's a little weird because it's actually Friday and we're recording this. I
Well,
mean, obviously, our listeners are listening to it. It comes out on Wednesdays. They listen to it whenever they want, but we tend to record on Fridays and we
it
haven't
may
the
be
last two
Tuesday at
weeks.
not 2 a.m. in Tokyo for all we know.
It might be. You don't
And if
know.
that's you, konnichiwa.
You're
Welcome
so dumb.
to the Life Unfiltered podcast, Life Unfiltered show.
I'm
I'm
Ashley
Justin.
Deweese. I just ruined it for you, didn't I?
That's okay. Lifers, I'd like y'all to take a note of this. If you remember back 3-4 episodes ago when she got all up in her feelings because I did that, just pointing that out.
The problem is we just never discuss like what the flow is. Cause like sometimes I
We
introduce the
lit we literally
show.
just said, we literally just said, "Hey Justin, you're going to do the intro."
I know, but then my brain went, oh, sometimes when I introduce the show, he says his name. And I was like, oh, well, I'll say my name today.
Proof
Sorry.
that the female brain is like a cat.
Sorry for partying.
Sorry, not sorry.
Anyways, I know that you're
Anyways,
not super excited, but I'm super excited because finally the new Taylor Swift album is out. And before you're listening and going, I'm going to push stop right now. We're not going to talk about Taylor the whole time, but we got to talk about her just a little bit. Because the album released, I mean, it actually released at 2 a.m. Part of it.
in Tokyo, konnichiwa.
That's over.
Nope.
Um, anyways, yeah, now you have my brain off track.
It's like a
So
cat.
annoying. No,
Told
it's
you.
so annoying. No, like released at 2 a.m., but I did not get up at 2 a.m. I listened to it
Well,
this
I'm
morning.
proud of you for being sane.
Thank you. But then the surprise was it's like a double album. She released the one and then
Oh,
she released it's like surprise, it's a double album. I have all this material and I wanted you to have it all. So here's the whole thing that has 15 more songs than you thought you were going to get.
not just one pile of scallywag, two piles of scallywag. I'm
Anyways,
excited.
I'm excited, but no, he's not excited. We were
I'm
in the
not.
car this morning. We were going to the grocery store to pick up some things we needed after we dropped the kids off. And my phone was automatically connected to our truck radio. And I was
It
like,
wasn't
oh,
automatically connected. You were like, you know what? I'm going to play some tunes. So you started pushing buttons to connect it up.
this is how it's going to be today.
Yeah, probably.
And I had barely started to pull up my Spotify app to put on music. And he very aggressively said something to the effect of, you better not be putting on any
No,
Taylor
listen,
Swift
listen.
bullshit.
My brain works properly. Here's the conversation. I said, I swear to God, if you put on Taylor Swift, I'm going to punch you in the face.
I don't think that's an appropriate use of the Lord's name.
It probably isn't. And for that, I apologize. That being said,
Like it was so aggressive. There was no polite request like, hey, cool, you're putting some music on. Awesome. Can we not listen to Taylor Swift this morning? You could have said that.
I've made it clear over the last couple months that I'm over Taylor Swift.
I mean, yeah, but that isn't, I mean, again,
Yeah,
hashtag
but
same
that
team.
doesn't mean
Same
today.
team. Same team.
We are
Sometimes,
same team.
sometimes you'll listen to her.
Put your headphones in, rock out with your socks out.
Look, I don't have a problem that you didn't want to listen to Taylor this morning, but it was an unnecessary aggressive attack right off the bat.
Well, listen, sometimes I got to break it down for your nimbly bimbly kitty cat brain and make it very clear because sometimes I'll say, you know what? Hey, Ash, I'd really appreciate not listening to Taylor Swift today. And your little brain hears, I bet he does want to listen to it. I'm going to go ahead and play it.
So not true. That's
Oh,
not true.
shit.
Anyways, moving on.
Please. Thank you, Lord.
We don't need millions of haters stomping in the comments again.
Bring the haters on. I've seen it all on my feed today.
Telling me I should look
All
out for
these
myself
clowns
being married
drooling
to
over
someone like
themselves
you.
because an album came out. Get a
Okay.
life.
Anyways, uh we've had quite the last couple of days, haven't we?
Oh, it's been a roller coaster of emotion.
So to set the stage a little bit, first of all, we are both health and performance coaches. I life coach women and also help many women specifically dial it in with their nutrition and fitness, because let's be honest, if you listen to us at all, we believe that your physical and mental well-being is like the foundation of everything. So
Everything.
if you want to make changes in your life, you better start with nutrition and working out. And from there, it only goes up. So anyways, in order for us to continue to grow and evolve and be the best coaches we can be, we too need to be continually learning, not only for us as an individual, but because we want to help our clients as best as possible and have more knowledge and more resources and experiences, et cetera, et cetera. So we're kind of in the midst of doing something like that right now with our own physical wellness. And this program started off with a 16-day whole foods cleanse. We are on day 3 today.
On day 3, which bless up for day 3, because day 3, we got to reintroduce some protein into our lives.
Oh, it was so exciting. It was glorious.
Because the first 2 days, it was nothing but fruits and vegetables.
Which are great.
Raw
Raw
fruits and vegetables. No cooking.
No cooking, no seasoning on them, no
no salt,
sauces, no
nothing
ranch
that's going to make
dipping
it actually
sauce.
taste not like a bowl of dirt.
And okay, let's again, we obviously don't eat like shit on the regular. So
We don't.
you know, to act like this is our first rodeo with something like this, it's not. But it's been a bit since we've done something that was very mentally challenging for us like this.
In this manner, yes.
Yes.
And to be clear, this is the first time I've ever done something where I've gone without protein.
Oh, yeah.
Via animal sources, because animals are delicious.
Yeah, that is true, because I've previously invited him to join me in doing some plant-based programs, just to try them out or whatever. And he was
no
like,
interest.
No interest. I will support you to the fullest, which he did, but he was like, I
will make your crap. I will not eat that crap.
So we are doing this together, and he did go without protein, but there's a point to us sharing this today, but we're just going to tell you a little bit about it at first. For me, day 1 knocked me on my ass. Like, it was like I had no energy, didn't want to do anything, felt like my brain wouldn't work at all. You know, the things like you keep pressing the buttons, like maybe if I just press it again, it'll start up. That's how I felt with my brain on Tuesday.
That's what I do with you every night at bedtime. To tennis.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Anyways, so day 1 was not a good thing. And I also had a little bit of a headache. Actually, it wasn't terrible, but there was just a dull headache. And for me, that was mostly due to I still consume caffeine via pre-workout a couple times a day. Use it for workouts and then and then use it kind of as a little boost later on. The beard, however, has not had caffeine in what's your streak now?
I don't know. Let me look it up on my fabulous little app here.
We're big fans of using apps to track our streaks of things, habits that we're implementing.
Today is day 78.
Day 78. First, quick pause. Like, congrats to you.
Well, thanks.
Because
it sucks.
Well, let's be clear. This is by choice.
Yeah. I decided that maybe I was drinking a little too much caffeine, pre-workout before workout, and then some coffee, and then some pre-workout later, and then, maybe some pre-workout later. And, it piles up. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stop with the caffeine for a bit. And I didn't tell little fancy pants over there that I was doing it until I was about a week in, because she gets a little weird sometimes. And she was like, because a lot of times I'll say I'm doing something like that. Like, hey, I'm going to stop drinking caffeine for a while. And she'd be like, oh, well, I love you. I want to do that too. And here's the deal.
Which is not a terrible trait.
It's not. At the same time, I knew I was going to get cranky and whatever. from detoxing from the caffeine. And so I was going to have to deal with me. I really didn't want to have to deal with you going through the same stuff at the same time.
But now you are because
Yeah, but see, I'm past it. So I'm
oh right,
like,
I see what you're saying. We weren't,
I'm
yes.
I'm level set.
We're at
And so
different
now I can just be
levels.
like, yeah, that's a headache from the caffeine. Suck it up. It's just part of the
Right.
process.
Right. Um, so yeah, anyway, so first day sucked, you know what. And then yesterday wasn't too terrible.
Nah,
I definitely felt I didn't feel as tired. My brain still not firing on all cylinders yesterday, but it was definitely better. And it just wasn't as hard yesterday.
I will tell you the hard part for me is these first 2 days, you are supposed to limit water to basically nothing if you can. Like you're allowed to drink up to 500 milliliters, which is like not much water. And, for my beautiful wife over
Oh,
there,
it
she's
was
like,
like
oh my gosh, this is the
Christmas
best
in
thing ever. I hate
April.
water.
It
I don't ever
was.
want to drink water.
Although I have to say, I was bummed because again, I just got that brand new water bottle and I only
Right.
got to use it for like 2 days and then had to stop using it.
Well, just so I can provide some context for our lovely lifers, these new water bottles, as mentioned last week, are 1.4 liter bottles. It's like, I don't know.
I
It's a
look,
number of ounces.
yeah. Well, 2 liters is what did we decide? 68 ounces is two
Yeah.
liters. So do the math.
So 50 ounces probably. Long story short, I would fill this thing up like 3 or 4 times a day and drink it dry because I love water. If you watch this podcast, if you watch the YouTube version of it, you'll see me just every once in a while
All the
like,
time. It's water.
love water. And so to go 2 days with no water, so
I
no water, no
mean,
protein. It's basically like, hey, guess what?
hell is what it's
Life's
like.
over. Just mail it in. Everything you enjoy about life gone.
But I also want to clarify this is a totally healthy 16-day cleanse.
It
It is
is. It
all whole
is.
foods, real foods.
Right.
It's nothing
Right.
that I don't want to give the impression that we're doing some sort of like quick fix program or whatever. We don't need that. We're health and fitness coaches. We
Right.
already know how to live this way. We're just leveling ourselves up in our education and trying some different things to see what the experience is like. And
And
so that we
again,
can utilize it in our life and help our clients.
it's about challenging ourselves,
Right.
right? Because, like I said, I drink like 150 ounces of water every day. I've never gone without water, at least, in the past 8 years.
Yeah.
And so, like, to do that is very difficult. To eat nothing but fruits and vegetables, that's not this guy's act.
Right.
So to do that was very difficult. And it's mental challenge, right? Of like, hey, I got to do this. I said I was going to do this, and I'm going to follow through on this
Well,
in spite of the suckitude.
there's a couple of things here. It's also great because when you've been on this journey as long as we have, the further you get away from where we used to be physically as people, it's of course you forget, right? And not even like you totally forget, but you're when there's distance between you and a scenario, there's things that you just don't remember, like how
Right.
hard that was or whatever, like how hard it was when you first started to make changes with your nutrition and your fitness, right? So I actually, one of the things that I do like about experiencing new things like this that challenge us is it's a continued reminder for me of what it feels like to do something that's different from the way that you're currently living and the challenges that come along with it and the strategies that you can use to try to move through that and handle it, so that I again stay connected to the journeys of my clients. Because there's nothing worse than someone being like, not being able to relate or understand what it is you say that you're feeling or experiencing during a process and feeling like they don't get it, right?
Right. Yeah. Listen, if you're a health and fitness coach and you're like, yeah, I was raised on a commune and I ate nothing but whole foods and fruits and
All my
vegetables my
life.
entire life. And I've never had soda and I've never drank and I've never done this. Stay out of my DMs because you don't know. Like, yeah.
Well, it's just more challenging. It's more challenging to be coached by someone who hasn't experienced some of the things that you've experienced.
Right.
It doesn't
That's
mean
what I'm
that they're
saying.
not knowledgeable. It doesn't mean that they're not they don't excel at their profession or what they're doing. It's just easier to take coaching from someone that you feel like gets you because they've experienced some of the things that you have.
Right.
Um, but that being said, it's a great reminder of lots of things, but yeah, that so much of this is mental. It is
It's all mental.
mental. Yeah, you're probably right. um, because it's a matter of, I mean, we have a very specific guide that we're following. And it's basically, I mean, I talk about this a lot, like do it or don't, right? Like here's the thing you need to follow. Either follow that, or if you don't follow that, then you're not doing the program.
Right.
Like you're not actually doing the program. So you're not going to know the kind of results that you've been promised or you could potentially obtain because you're not actually following the program as it was written, which is what many people struggle with. I know we've done an episode on that before of following programs exactly as they're written. And the reality of it is it is mental. You have to work on your mental toughness during something like this because making a change from what you've been doing to doing something else, it's very uncomfortable.
Right.
And again, we've done things similar to this before. And even though we've had a similar experiences, it was still difficult the initial 2
Very
days.
much. Very much.
And I want to share that because like sometimes we can look at people who are living a way that we desire to live and we think or obtain achievements and goals that we want to obtain and we just think that it must be easier for them.
Right. And it's not. Spoiler alert.
No, like it's just they've put in more reps than you have per se. It's just they've acquired more tools than perhaps that you have. They've learned more ways to push through the pain type things.
And dare I say, more often than not, they've worked with coaches to help them do those things.
Right. Right.
And maybe it's not an official coach, right? But you enlist your friend like, "Hey, I want to stop smoking. You have my permission to ride my ass about it and this and that and the other thing." Like that person is coaching you. Maybe not from like the education standpoint, but from the accountability and follow through standpoint of holding you to what you say you wanted to do.
Right. Well, and investing in coaches on people to help you, I think, is something that needs to be talked about more. Um, the most successful people on the planet have coaches, multiple coaches
For
in their
everything.
life, right? For everything. And it's just something I believe needs to be talked about more because I think we just live in a world where oftentimes people view it as a weakness that they need to get help from someone.
Right.
And obviously we're talking about this mostly in the space of like health and fitness and personal development. But when you look at, our world with mental health, for example, like people view it as a sign of weakness and people treat it often as a sign of weakness if you are getting help for something. And so a lot of times people tell themselves these stories, I should be able to do this on my own. I will try to figure this out on my own. And then 20 years later, they're still dealing with the same, mental issues, physical issues, health issues that they were dealing with before, and most likely are in a worse off position because they would not seek someone to help them through that.
Right. And to your point, like everyone that, I shouldn't say everyone, but we'll just say everyone that is at the highest levels of their respective games, they have coaches. Like Tiger Woods in his heyday, obviously that kid grew up with a golf club in his hand and his dad was on him and he had just piles of natural talent. But he had multiple coaches. He had a strength and conditioning guy. He had a driving guy. He had a putting coach. I mean, he had all these people to help him continue to further refine.
Right.
Because the reality is, we are never done. Like, you've never reached your potential.
Right. Well, and even with that, even if you take aside, because not everyone is, you're not, you don't start off at a place where you're looking at, I want to grow myself forever. Like, that's not where you start out at. But whatever the thing is that you're wanting to accomplish, lose weight, for example, you can do that on your own. Absolutely. But like, the purpose of a coach is to help you do it faster, right? To help you not have to trial and error the entirety of your journey. And as I've spoken time and time again, for someone like me, time is important. And if I can get guidance from someone who's been there, done that, that can shorten the time that it's going to take me to get to where I need to go, I'm going to gladly invest or ask for that help, because I won't have to necessarily, I mean, of course, you're always going to have to go through certain things yourself, but like this person, I don't have to, like, for example, all the people out there that, they're like, oh, like, I want to lose weight, and they just Google, like, there's information everywhere, right? So in that regard, everything you need to know to accomplish the things that you need to accomplish is out there somewhere.
Right.
Free to your access, usually.
Right. The internet is an amazing thing.
So most often, not actually to switch gears from what I'm saying, but like, honestly, most often it's not that you lack knowledge to do what it is you want to do. It's you lack the ability to follow through on the actions that are going to give you
Right.
what it is you want, right? And a coach is going to be someone who is there, who can hold you accountable, who can remind you of what it is you said you wanted, who can talk you through times where you're feeling like you don't want to do this, I want to quit, this sucks, I can't do this. Like, that's what that person is there to help you with. But again, like, we have all the information out there that we need, but we don't do I hear so often, like, women will say to me, I know what I need to do, I just don't do it. Yeah, welcome to the club.
Right.
I mean, you and I have a list of things that we know what we need to do, we just don't do it.
Right.
And that's where a person has to decide, maybe this is the time where I have to move beyond me. But embrace the hard, like, making changes in your life for the better. Expect that it's going to be hard, right? And expect that you're going to have to do shit that you don't want to do. Like, right now, I'm drinking decaf coffee, black coffee, nothing in it. I've not drank coffee in quite a while because my stomach wasn't really loving it. But like, even when I would consume coffee, I didn't consume black coffee. In fact, I blame my mom, because growing up, my grandparents would come over on Fridays because my
She's
mom
going
was
to
a
listen to this replay. There's no reason to speak quietly now.
I wasn't trying to speak quietly, but sometimes I just get
Oh,
loud
you
and
lowered
I
your voice. You're
realize
like,
it.
I blame this on my mom, and here's why.
It creates a different dynamic when you like soften up the tone a little bit. But anyways, my grandparents would come over on Friday. My mom was a hairdresser and my grandma would get her hair done on Fridays. But they would come over, they would bring Dunkin' Donuts, Munchkins. The Bavarian cream ones are the best. And they would drink coffee, and I would see them drink the coffee and I would want to have coffee. And so they would let me, which I cringe as a mother now. I'm like, you let me not only have coffee, but it was coffee. It was actually more so like half a cup of coffee with a half a layer of milk and then probably half a jar of sugar, all mixed up together. So
That's how we won World War II. So, I mean, don't knock it.
but I'm just saying, like, black coffee was not the thing, but I'm drinking black coffee right now because that's what is on the plan. Like, you can have that. And when things are so limited, you also find yourself like looking forward and willing to consume things that you wouldn't have ordinarily because the options are slim. But this would not necessarily be my choice of beverage. Just like, what are you looking forward to?
Oh, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm going to do it. I got to eat tomatoes on this stupid plan. And I only call it a stupid plan because of the tomatoes. Outside of that, I'm down here for the rest of it. But man,
It,
tomatoes,
I think you should like not take it out on the plan. It's not the plan's problem. It's your problem.
yeah, I appreciate your coaching. I reject it. Tomatoes are trash.
Tomatoes are amazing.
I've tried eating tomatoes multiple times in my life because, all the benefits and blah blah
So
blah blah
good.
blah. They taste like soggy dirt. I can't do it. I don't want to do it.
Well, you can't do it. You don't want to do it, but you're gonna do it.
Well, I'm gonna do it 9 times in the next 14 days. Not that I'm counting.
Well, and look, here's the thing. Like this is a preference. And I think I want to talk about this because I encounter this with my clients. You know, we want to default to what we're most comfortable with.
Sure.
And so when something gets put in front of us where we are being asked to do something that we are not comfortable with, that is not our preference. For many people, we start looking for loopholes. We start looking for alternatives. I mean, that's just the God's honest truth. Like you start looking for, how can I get around this? And although I feel like it's a natural thing that we do until you train it out of yourself, that's not actually a helpful view. Like it's not helpful to go through life looking for ways around the hard.
Right. Well, it's like that Instagram meme, whatever goes around. Like marriage is hard. Divorce and being single is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So choose your hard. Like a lot of times you get in a marriage and like, oh, this is terrible and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, it's going to be so much easier on the other side. It's not. It's a different kind of hard, but it's still hard.
Right. But the difference is I'm comfortable with that hard. Right.
Well, you're comfortable with it until you're not. I mean,
right. But sometimes we get to a point where we're uncomfortably comfortable because at least it's certainty, right?
sure.
It's certainty. This is comfortable to me, even though it's causing discomfort to me, but I am certain that I can navigate this because it's just what I'm used to. And so
It's
I'm
the devil,
comfortable with it.
know.
Right. Whereas this thing over here, I'm not comfortable with that. That's not what I know. And I'm uncertain as to whether or not I'm going to like doing that or whether or not the benefits that are on the other side of it are actually going to come to fruition. But at the end of the day, it is often just a preference.
Right.
I am going to be consuming some cottage cheese during these next 16 days. And I want to stab myself in the eye when I think about eating cottage cheese. But I'm going to eat the cottage cheese because that's what
And
it
I
says
look
to
forward to
do.
that.
I'm sure that you do. And
And
I'm
it's gonna
glad that I
and
can
it's and
provide you
it's
with a
gonna
little bit of
be
entertainment during this process.
well, listen, like you're not gonna giggle watching me choke down these stupid
I'm
tomatoes.
not because I'm a supportive wife and I'm going to feel your pain as you're
That's a
consuming.
load of horse shit if I've ever heard one.
No, but this is the thing is sometimes we have to act like adults, right? Like we tell our kids, do what I tell you to do, or you're going to eat it because I told you to, or whatever. But then we're like, we want to throw fits like toddlers when we are a part of a program to get some sort of results that we say we want, but we're like, but I don't want to do that because that's not my preference.
Right.
Okay. You can do things that go against your preference. And in fact, it's actually a whole heck of a lot of learning in doing so. You learn so much about yourself. So far in just these last couple of days, it's really kind of helped me open up my eyes to still how much food is a part of my focus. Even though we have made so many changes, and even though we lead a healthy lifestyle and we eat very well, I still look forward to food. I still can use food in the sense of like a reward at times, even though even though I'm using healthy food, and even though I'm using food and staying within my personal guidelines for my nutrition and my goals, the fact remains I still have some sort of emotional attachment
Right.
to food. And so, again, it's just been an eye opener of that type of thing. I know that's one of the things that I've learned within the last couple of days, or just been it's been brought to my attention again. Is that anything opened up for you in the last couple of days?
I love water. I miss water.
No, what were you saying at the store this morning? Oh, you weren't. You said you weren't. It's changed the way you were thinking about food because you weren't like
Oh yeah, because like, you know, anytime we go for a stretch of really eating clean around the
uber clean.
clock, we you get to thinking like, oh man, at Easter I'm gonna have that pie, or I'm gonna
Mm.
have whatever, right? I got a pretty big sweet tooth, I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, but because of the guardrails on this particular plan, I'm just like, man, can I just fry an egg? Can I fry an egg and throw a little bit of salt and hot sauce on it?
Right.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. Oh,
Well, just like today, right? And adding those because we are consuming eggs today, but they either need to be hard boiled or poached. And so that's why he's like, "Can I just fry an egg? Because we're having eggs today, but can't eat them that way." Um, but yeah, like I was looking forward to those eggs today. Any other day, I mean, I love eggs, don't get me wrong, but like any other day, like I'm not like waking up, oh my gosh, chomping at the bit to have the eggs. So, it's one of those things. I use this with my clients at times of I believe that sometimes, a lot of times, we need to have a period of separation slash isolation from the things that have their claws in us, or the things that we are trying to move on from or eliminate or lessen in our life. And I always say, it's like when you have a breakup, like you need to like be away from that person for a while,
right,
because then with complete isolation and separation, you get a better picture and understanding of what life is like for you, what it feels like without that. And then you're in a better position to make a more informed decision about whether or not you still want that in your life or not.
right.
And so for things like this, although at first, I'm like 16 days, like 16 days. But
It's a long ass
honestly,
time.
it does feel like a long, I mean, sure. It feels like a long time. And do I wish it were 7? Sure, but like at the same time, it's it is kind of nice to have, this is another reason to like invest with coaches and utilize their programs, et cetera, is it, like you said, guardrails. So it puts these boundaries on you that you may have a tough time putting on yourself.
Right.
And so you end up experiencing things and learning things that had you been left to your own devices, you might not never have discovered. you know and the same thing, what I'm also looking forward to is how I will feel come the end of these 16 days, having not consumed any sort of sugar. Because like we were discussing this morning as well, how again we lead a fairly clean lifestyle, but there's still elements of sugar, healthier forms of sugar, but there's still elements of sugar that we've included, like honey or artificial sugars like stevia, or sugars in, healthy preserve options on toast or something. And again, those things aren't necessarily like bad. Like we're not here to say like you
Right.
should never have those things, but it is very eye-opening to go through experiences without some of those things to learn more about the effect of the things that you're consuming on your body. And I think that's one of the things that I am excited about, is because I would not have chosen to just completely eliminate sugar for 16 days on my own. But I
Yeah.
am looking
No.
forward to experiencing potential differences in my mental function mostly without it. Because I'm
Yeah, I
sure
mean,
it
it'll
has an
definitely,
impact.
right. Oh, yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how this continues to unfold.
For sure. Not even think like day one, right? Like I know I was like bitier on day one. You've been a little bit irritable too.
Okay.
But you don't agree?
I didn't disagree.
I know, but you didn't agree. Silence is compliance, so I guess that means you agree. Um, what is up with the stoicness today?
I'm just, living life unfiltered.
Apparently. No, but you think about like I was a little irritable because of it, and people often blame the program they're following, right?
Right.
But really, what's to blame is what you've been doing.
Right. Because
It's kind of
without
like,
those shit habits, you wouldn't be having the detox effects.
right. It's like when something bad happens, people blame God instead of the devil,
Right.
right?
Or
Like, oh,
themselves.
that's the problem, right?
Right.
Instead of, no, that's not the problem. What you've been doing is the problem. That kind of thing. So yeah, like that irritability, like already it's like, wow, like why am I experiencing this today? It feels like I'm experiencing it because we're following the structure today, but really I'm experiencing this because of the things, you know, that I was consuming before. And now those things have been taken away. So I can tell my clients, like, this is all like a learning process. And the more you can become a student of self, the easier it is, even though it's hard, the easier it is to do such things because you're learning about what makes you live well and what doesn't.
Right. And that sounds like a hand delivered gift from heaven, big nug right there. To stay a student of yourself, to continue to learn about yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, all of it, to
Yeah.
continue to lean in to learning and growing about yourself, with yourself, by
Nobody
yourself.
can know you better than you,
True story.
ultimately. But that being said, some of us don't know ourselves very well
Well, and if
because
you live life in a cloudy haze of alcohol, sugar, and processed foods, you're making it more difficult for yourself. It's not that you can't achieve that sort of self-awareness, but it's harder when everything is foggy.
well, it's like I don't know. I shouldn't use references like this, but like the
But I'm
build
gonna.
up. Well, it's like build up. You could say like build up on your teeth, like plaque on your teeth,
Sure.
or the build up in your bathroom if you don't clean the shower or whatever. Like it's just layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And underneath all of it is like that it's the original surface. But the more you keep layering on top of it, the further away you get from
Right.
that original
Truth.
thing. Right.
From the
And so
truth.
we are constantly layering our minds and our bodies with these additional layers of things, with the things that we eat, with the things that we're listening to. And really, ideally, we should be working in our life to peel off those layers in
Constantly.
all ways, because otherwise it makes it very difficult to really function as your highest self and know who you truly are, because every single day you're doing things, you're consuming things that are covering you up.
Yep. And that makes it tough.
Yep. Yep. So good chat today.
Oh, amazing chat. I love you so
I hate it
much.
when you do that. Like, I feel like you're
Why?
being, because you sound like a condescending a-hole.
Well, I'm not. So there's that.
There's that. So, all right. Have a great week ahead, listeners, lifers. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Like, comment, share, y'all. You're a constant a-hole. See that? Just constant judgment and names and put downs. It's whatever. Because I got to sit here and pet this dumb dog the whole time, because otherwise she sits back there and whines and starts barking. I'm sure you heard it in the middle of the show. She's a stage 95,000 clinger. Worst thing ever. So, we'll see you next week. Love y'all.